It starts sometimes when we're writing things or we're thinking, but the most practical is paying attention to the words that are coming out of your mouth. And if they're not what you want, I would say you create today the life that you live tomorrow, right? The story you tell today is the life you live tomorrow. So if you don't want what's coming out of your mouth tomorrow, you have to start changing it. So I think just paying attention to the words that you hear coming out of your mouth is the most practical thing you can do.
Welcome to Becoming Tantalum with me, Megan Bennell. Discover your brightest self in a journey of transformation and resilience. Let's embark on this path together, starting now. Hello there, amazing listeners, and welcome back to Becoming Tantalum, where we get real about transforming into the best version of ourselves. And today, we're going to dive into something that everyone wants more of: money. Am I right? And not just having it, but really mastering your relationship with it. Because let's be honest, half of us feel like we're forever stuck in this dysfunctional romance with our bank account, right? So joining me today, I am very excited, is none other than the fairy godmother of finance herself, Cassie Parks. And Cassie is not only a money expert, but a literal wizard, if you will, when it comes to helping people flip their money scripts and build that wealth that they want from the inside out. She's the brains behind the popular Manifest 10K program, which I'm sure she's going to talk about, where she takes regular folks from financial frustration to living the money stories that they actually want, and hopefully then a life that you dream of. So if you're ready to laugh and learn and maybe cringe at some of those money lies that we all tell ourselves, then keep listening. Cassie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Megan. I'm so excited to be here. I love talking about everything you just described, so I can't wait.
Well, perfect. Then you're the perfect guest to be you. I love it. So, Cassie, we're going to start with a question that I ask of all of my guests that has nothing to do, or maybe it does, I don't know, with money. But what is your typical morning routine, and why do you have that routine?
I love it. So typical would be some version of this because I have a child, but we only have him half the time. So I generally get up and go for a walk or do some sort of a workout. I get in my hot tub. If it's pool season, I go between the pool and the hot tub. Yes, and hang out and really spend some time with myself. I normally don't start work until 10 a.m. my time. It's very rare that I'll do something before that because I need that time for me before so that I can come with that best version of myself.
I love it, friends. You heard it again. Everybody that spends a little bit of me time starting out their day, it usually goes really well for them. I love it. Okay, let's dive into all of this money goodness. So, first,
Awesome.
I would love to know just a little bit, share with our friends just a little bit about amazing you. So, tell us your story kind of in a nutshell.
Awesome. So I always thought I wanted to be a counselor. And then I started getting my master's in counseling. And I was like, this isn't fast enough. So I found some energetic techniques and things for shifting thoughts and beliefs that I loved. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And then it kind of shifted to coaching as I figured out more coaching stuff. And we might dive into sort of what shifted that later. And so I wanted to build a coaching practice. And what I realized, so I put a lot of time and energy into that and it didn't work. And I stepped back and I said, what do you really want? And what I wanted was financial freedom. So I really shifted my energy and attention. And I've been working on my money mindset this whole time to that. And so then I was very quickly able to create my financial freedom to leave my job. And at 30, yeah, at 32, which is like 11 years ago now, I think.
Not to age
Right,
yourself.
right. And then I got to leave my job and build my dream coaching business. And now that I've done that, I've trained two other coaches, one that is doing it, one that's getting ready to take clients, because I really felt like a new season coming. And what showed up for me was an opportunity to invest in a new tech company. And then also the opportunity to take the skills that I built over the last 11 years building my business and help that company build as well, which was a dream of mine. Like I always wanted to be able to invest, but gain both for my knowledge and my money.
I love it. So this is not about that tech company. Obviously, we're giving away all the secrets about manifesting money. But after we spoke last, so friends, I got to hang out with her for just a little bit and get to know a little bit about her, and then afterwards dove deep into this tech company. So can you just tell us what it is in like 30 seconds, cuz It's really rad.
It is really rad, right? So, BeeKonnected.com is the ultimate place for all entrepreneurs of the future. Like, it is the thing I would have loved to have 11 years ago. We have a social media platform without an algorithm. You get a free virtual conference room, which is better than Zoom because it's all set up for sales. Our CEO saw all these problems when she was the CEO of the Public Speakers Association, for people having trouble selling and getting to their audience. And so she literally built a platform to solve all of those problems, which is so fun. And it's why I was like, yes, please, I want to invest in this because it's going to be huge.
Yeah. Okay. That was more than 30 seconds because it's worth it. But for those of you that think that you might want to go check it out, you do, I promise. And it's BeeKonnected. That's BEE as in a stinger bee, connected with a K.com. So that's not what we're talking about today. But after I did a little bit of research on it, I was like, okay, that's really rad. We should mention that for sure for anybody that's out there and is that
Thank
entrepreneur.
you.
Yeah, of course. So, Cassie, you are known as the fairy godmother, which, what a cool title, by the way, of money. What is the first spell that someone needs to cast to start transforming their money story?
I love this question, and I've never been asked it this way. It's just super fun. The fairy godmother title came from one of my clients. Like, it came out of a story and a thing that we were doing. And I think the first spell that you need to cast is really to be open, right? I think everybody thinks I want more money, but there is a huge difference between I want more money and I'm open to the shift and the change and open to receive more money. So that really is what it is stepping into that openness of, okay, like, you're different when you have more money. Everybody thinks, oh, I'll just be exactly the same, but I'll have more money and life will be easier. But even if life is easier, you're different, right? You're less stressed. You're a different person. If you had 10,000 more dollars in your checking account right now, you would do things different. You think different. You behave different about money. And so it's being open to that shift and that change and what that looks like for you.
Interesting. And so you find people being resistant to that change.
I think that resistant might not be the word that I use. They're not like actively like pushing against or resisting that change. They just don't see that there is a change, right? They think, oh, like I'm just going to have more money and like nothing else will be different, right? The only thing that'll be different is like I'll have more money. And it ripple affects everything that you do, everything that you think, every way that you behave.
I love it. So being open to that. Okay. Good spell. Good spell. So you often talk about money stories, which we had mentioned in the last question, but that our money stories are holding us back. So what was your original money story, if you will, and what made you decide that it was time to rewrite it?
To be fair, I didn't realize what my money story was. I just started changing it. It was after interviewing a lot of my clients, like for fun and okay, what's changed, that I started asking this question, what was your old money story? And I thought I would get all these different answers. But what I started to get was five mostly answers. And so then that's where I came from them. So looking back at different times, I was a money hot mess and definitely a money chaser.
Can you just like briefly tell us what those five are? And maybe that might resonate with some people that are listening.
Absolutely. So you have survival, and survival is it's like everything in your life is survival. So you either have like all this money or no money. You hot potato money. So when money comes in, it's immediately gone. I love this example from one of my clients. When she was younger and working in New York, if she got a big tip, those tips didn't even come out like in this type of restaurant at this time. You didn't get it for like a week, but if she got like a $200 tip, she'd already be telling everybody, hey, we're going to the bar. I'm going to pay. And she'd spend $250 that night, right? It's not even in your account yet. And you're already spending it. So survival really does that. And so everything is stressful with money. You have some or you have none. It's just very like black and white and it's very stressful. That's the key to
Yes.
that. Yeah. Because there's a similar story, which is just enough, which is not stressful, but it's always having just enough. So it's oh, if you get a $300 random bonus that you weren't expecting, well, you're going to need new brakes on your car, right? There's just enough. Like that comes in, but something's going to come up. But it's not stressful because oh, well, hot water heater breaks. Oh, $1,000 is magically going to show up. but it always stays at that just enough. So you don't really save for things because, like, because things come up and that just become your life. And then you have me, my farmer story, and the story I still have to pay attention to just to make sure it's not creeping back up, which is money chaser. And that's, you will do anything to chase after money, right? So, if one good indication of this is someone who's joined more than 3 MLMs. That wasn't me, but I was always chasing money, trying to build a business. I was always taking on 15 things to do that would make money without really analyzing, like, oh, is this sort of worth my time? Right. But I was always just chasing money, chasing money. And money chasers will spend anything to try and make money. So,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. Yeah. There's the money hot mess. And this is the person who just doesn't pay attention. Money has never been stressful. It's always been there. It's always come in. They just do what they want. But this story, it really affects them one day when they look back and they're like, I've made a lot of money, but I don't have a lot to show for it.
Where'd
And
it
then that's where the
go?
work. Yes, it's like,
Okay.
oh, if I've been making 100 or 150 grand for 5 years, and then I'm like, oh, but I only have like 2,000. They start to realize that at that moment.
Okay.
And then there's the hold tight. And this is the person who will literally drive across town, half an hour to save like a penny on gas. Or one of the people that when I first started exploring this story, she slept on a floor for 6 months because she knew the mattress she wanted always like went on sale in a certain month. So she like slept on a floor to save that couple $100 6 months from them.
Interesting. And those
Yeah.
people probably have money because they're good about not spending it. And yet that's not a healthy relationship with it either because you're having so many sacrifices to make that happen.
Yeah. And you're
Okay.
getting that feel good from the sacrifice, right? Like instead of the thing that the money buys, instead of really enjoying like the mattress or sleep or, your time, that person gets their feel good from sacrificing.
Interesting. Interesting. Ooh, those are interesting. I feel like everybody could probably relate to one of those. I
Yeah.
see why they're the top five for sure. Okay. Well, friends, a good thing for you to do would be to figure out which one of those money stories you really relate to, or maybe more than one, because I feel like it's possible to overlap a couple of those and see if you're ready to rewrite your money story. So let's see how we can do that. So, you teach about the difference between action and inspired action. So, can you
Yes.
explain that concept? And then I would love it if you happen to have a story about when you weren't inspired, just taking action, but not inspired action.
Yeah. So I think there's so much that gets preached in the self development or building your world. Like, you got to be in action. You have to take action. You have to do this thing. You have to, whatever, send out this email. You have to just like be in constant action. And the difference between action and inspired action is inspired action comes from within, and it comes from setting yourself up. It comes from setting the stage, setting the place where you want to go, creating your future self. And then that inspired action is actually a pull to take you towards your future self. And inspired action, I always say, is action you can't take. So it's inspired if you put it down a couple times, but like it still comes up. Often it doesn't make sense. It'll be like, oh, reach out to this person or do this thing, go to this place, start doing this random thing on social media that doesn't maybe make sense or other people haven't said, but it's really that pull to do it. Whereas action is just trying to, like, if we're talking about social media, do every single thing all the time. I was always taking action that wasn't inspired when I was trying to build my coaching business before leaving my job. I was working so hard. I was taking all this action. I was doing all of these things. I was following these things that people said to do your business. But none of it was inspired because it was all from a want, but it wasn't from this future self place that I had created that was pulling me to do that. And when I really set all that down and said, okay, like I want financial freedom because I want the choice to go to work, like that inspired action looks very different. It looked like picking my computer up one random Sunday and having this thought, like, what's the cheapest property in Denver? Right. And then that search led me to a condo that opened up the door. I didn't get that condo, but it opened up this whole thought process about creating financial freedom quicker than I expected with real estate.
I love that. And I think you're right that especially people that want different, want better, want to make change. I feel like they just work really hard, right? Like they just
Mhm.
put in all of those actions and they work really hard to do that. But if it's not action that's inspired, as you say, then it can honestly just be a grind and not actually leading you to where you want to go. I love that. And I love that you said that sometimes it doesn't make sense because I've definitely experienced that before where I just have this pull to go do something or talk to someone or try something different that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense and isn't in line with what I'm working on at the moment. And it's usually always worked out. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
I'm going to put that into effect in my world over here, I think. So
I love it.
I feel like going along with our old money stories, we
Mhm.
also have these lies that we tell ourselves, and you talk about that. What do you think
Mhm.
is the most common money lie that people believe? And what's your advice for flipping that switch on that belief?
Yeah, the common one that your brain will always tell you, like, you're doing it right. It will always justify it, but that's just a product of your story, right? So I'll give you a good example of this. I was working with a client, she's a health coach, and we had been working for a while and we got her budget straightened out. It was amazing. And everything was taken care of, even future planning. And she got this random client that she wasn't expecting, kind of at the end of the month, that paid in full. So she had thousands of dollars extra, right? And she's a health coach, so she has always been able to justify, right, which we should buy healthy food, I'm not saying that, but that's always like because that's true for her is also always a justification to spend money. And so she drove to Whole Foods. She got to Whole Foods. She was ready to go in and she stepped out. We find pennies. We always celebrate finding pennies. And she saw a penny on the ground and it like flipped her. And she went, wait a minute. I'm about to go buy the exact same food that I have in the fridge. Cause she only ate, she's a health coach. She only ate certain things. She always had the same lunch, but her brain had convinced her the lie was you need to go buy something. You have money. You should spend it. Right. And we'd been doing the work together a while. So she snapped out of it and was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've done. Like she could really see it in action, but also see that lie. It was like, you have money. So you should go get healthy food for lunch, even though it was the exact same healthy food that was in the fridge. And it was the lie to get her to go spend money to try and get her back. It's a process of writing your new story and stepping into that new story. And that lie was part of her old story about spending money. Right. And it was justified by who she was as a health coach.
Interesting. It's
Yeah.
funny that you say that because I feel like when I first started coaching and I would get a new client, the first thing that came to my mind was, I just got this client, they just signed, I just got all this money, I should go celebrate. And it was as if that celebration needed to cost money because I deserve it, right? Because I just got this
Right.
money.
Yep.
But that isn't the case. I mean, I literally can celebrate with a high five and be just as excited. It doesn't change how excited I am about it, but if that's so funny. Oh, okay. I like it. I like it. I'm
Yeah.
learning so much here,
Yeah.
friends. I hope you are too. So, you mentioned something earlier, which was a really big number to me, and that is that you retired at 32, which
Mhm.
most of us, I would say, are just getting into the, bigger, better parts of our career if we're lucky at 32. So, what was the biggest belief that you had to change about yourself, do you think, to make that happen? And maybe that's not even the right question to answer, but just 32. So, what was it that made that possible for you?
That it could be easier. I had to believe, and there's self worth wrapped up in learning to believe this, right? But that it could be easier. Like it could be easy I didn't have to like get my financial freedom by working every second that I wasn't working a job to try and build a business to get me that. It could be easier. I could love my life more. And I have been doing a lot of money work, as I was building my business, but that was probably the thing. It could be easier.
I love it. It could be easier. And then you're seeking that out. Okay. What is one you talk about manifest. We're going to get to your program Manifest 10K in just a little bit,
Yeah.
but you talk about manifesting money a lot. So what's one weird or unusual, if you will, manifesting technique that you swear by even if it sounds a little like woo woo, as people say nowadays? What's one technique?
I love this question because I get it. And very often I've been called like the practical LOA. So I'm trying to think if there's anything that's super woo woo that we do. Because it's all, I mean, unless you consider like scripting woo woo, people might like, but everything in Manifest 10K is to like gently change, and not a lot of it's woo woo. So I would say that I focused a lot on woo woo in the beginning of when I was trying to change, when I talked about like those energetic techniques, right? And that was pretty woo woo, like using color to shift your beliefs. Like I used muscle checking to go through my whole session. So that was pretty woo woo. But I made this more shift to the practical, even though like it is manifesting because it's creating what we want, it's putting it out there, but it's very practical. So I think the most woo-woo thing that I do now is maybe just scripting, which is, either verbally or writing something as if it's already happened. There's not a lot of woo-woo stuff that we do. It's all very practical and designed to just change your brain because I'm very much into the science of the law of attraction.
I love that. And actually, I like that you made that shift to being practical because when I was stalking you and learning all about you, that is something that came up over and over and over again, is that you are, and your program is a very practical, you're a very practical coach. It's a very practical program. And a lot of people, especially, coaching nowadays, there is a lot of things that people think are woo woo. They work. But I think a lot of people just want that practical side. So what would you say is one practical technique that is most often used or that you found to be the most successful?
I always say pay attention to the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Ah,
That's the most powerful story, is whatever we say, right? Because we said it, we heard it. If we're in the presence of someone else, they're also getting it. And so really starting to, it starts sometimes when we're writing things or we're thinking, but the most practical is paying attention to the words that are coming out of your mouth. And if they're not what you want, I always say you create today the life that you live tomorrow, right? The story you tell today is the life you live tomorrow. So if you don't want what's coming out of your mouth tomorrow, you have to start changing it. And I do this. One definite example I remember is when I was with my realtor and I said something to him, and then I like called him back like later, and we are also friends. And I said, "Oh, you asked me that question and I don't like that answer. Here's the real answer." And I shifted the story because I heard it and I was like, that's not me. That's not what I want more of. Like, here's what I want. And so I'll do that often with people. I'll be like, oh no, I'm sorry. I was not like fully present or answering that from where I wanted to. Like, this is the answer. Because just changing that. And I don't think we have to like go through that whole delete that or whatever. The very conscious, like, no, here's the right answer is great. So I think just paying attention to words that you hear coming out of your mouth is the most practical thing you can do.
I love that. And that's so applicable not just to money, I mean, to really anything in life. I love that. Very practical. So you have this program, Manifest 10K. Let's take just a minute to explain what that is. And then can you tell us maybe like the wildest success story that you have from somebody that's gone through that program?
Manifest 10K is the program with daily assignments. It takes less than 20 minutes a day. The goal is 5 days a week so that you're putting your energy into creating money. Again, very practical, easy things that create and open big shifts for you and make you see what stories are coming out of your mouth. Because sometimes we don't even recognize that, right? We're like, oh, yeah, that's true. This is blah, blah, blah. It's just 20 minutes a day. It takes people 4 to 6 months. And then it also comes with coaching. So you can come and you can ask those questions, but also coaching that looks at your answers. Because very often people come and they give an answer that is from their current self or their past, and they don't even know, and they're guessing based on something that they heard from some other guru, like this should be the answer. And we can really pick out like, that's like, is this true? Like, is this what you want? Or, are you kind of hiding it? Are you trying to do it a certain way?
I love it. So what's like a crazy wild success story from that program? Is there one on the top of your
Crazy
head?
wild success story. I mean, I'm gonna go with my own.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. I do that program as well. And the story is yet to be finished. But this investment in BeeKonnected is really that continuation because I have that program. But what I tell people, it's a complete money journey. So once you manifest 10,000, then we're working to manifest 100. And if manifesting money becomes who you are, there's no choice but to get to manifesting in the millions. Because if you're really living that continually and you keep growing and you keep expanding, the money keeps coming. And then when we have more money, money creates more money. Like we know this, right? You have this ability to invest, you have that. So I think myself, I also have clients who've also invested in BeeKonnected. Those will be my favorite stories. One of my clients, she was always overdrafting her account. Like now she has all these savings accounts. She also invested in BeeKonnected. She's making twice the money in less the time working. And that's really what I love.
Yeah.
I'm sure a huge one will come to me, but those are the ones that I like love the most.
Yeah. Well, no,
Yeah.
they're life changing, and
Yeah.
that's huge. And I love that you said that once you are in that program and you're really working the way that you should in that program, that it's kind of just the tip of the iceberg. 10 leads to 100, leads to a million. It just keeps coming. So this is
Yeah.
not a short-term investment, Cassie. This is lifelong investment, which is great. You always talk about the power of possibility. So for anyone listening who feels like stuck or maybe a little bit skeptical, what's one small thing that they can try today, like literally can put into their life today to bring possibility into their life?
Just ask yourself, what if, right? If you're sitting there like, there's no way I can pay my bills this month, or no way I can send my kid to college, like you just ask yourself, what if I could pay all my bills? What if I could send my kid to college? Like just asking what if, first of all, you can even though those things weren't true for me, I could even feel like when I said what if, the difference in my body, right? So because we're just opening up that possibility, well, what if this happened? What if the money did show up? What if by next Tuesday I got everything I needed, for this month? But asking what if when something's happening that you don't want is opening up that space to see just a little bit, to get a little bit of evidence for it to be possible for that to happen. And so that's the quickest and easiest shift to just start that opening to possibility.
What if? I'm going to ask myself that question a bunch today. I got lots of what ifs I could put in there for sure.
Love
Okay.
it.
So, but let's get real quick. So, this all sounds fine and dandy, and we all want more of the monies, obviously. And we want that financial freedom and the change and the ripple effect that that's going to have in our life. But what if there's somebody out there? There's the what if, but different kind of what if. What if there's somebody out there listening and is grinding hard, working hard, but they're living paycheck to paycheck? They have no extra time, no extra money. Are you talking to them?
Absolutely. I'm talking to them. And the first thing when my clients, because even when they're in my program, they'll come to me and they'll go, oh, like this, there's no this, there's no that. Like what we do is we go look at the data. Okay. Like there's no money. Okay. Let's get clear. Like, is there really no money? Or all of the bills that have to be paid, everything like this, is this really a negative? Because then we know what we have to manifest, right? We're like, then you're like looking, okay, I need to manifest $200 a month. Or is this part of your story that there's none of this? There's no time, there's no this, right? And so the first thing we do, whether we're talking about money or we're talking about time, is go get the data. One of my clients a couple of weeks ago, we were at an event and it was a future self event. And they were like, yeah, I love how Cassie always like, there's like an equation to your future self. And I was like, I'm writing that book, the future self equation, right? Because they were like, I love how it comes down to data. Like we really look at the data to find the truth.
I love it. Okay, so I'm curious about something you just said. So, how often does somebody break open their books to see if that's really the case or if this is a story they're telling themselves? And are they just shocked by the fact that the story they've been telling themselves is not true?
So often. So one of two things happen, right? They're like, oh, that's not true. Like there is money here, right? I've just chosen to, right? Like justify it, like whatever, I'm spending it this way. And or I have unrealistic expectations for like my life. The unrealistic happens more in time. But when I took one of my clients through this data of the time, there was really 9 hours. And what she was thinking was I should be able to build a 40-hour business. And when we really took everything, she was the stay-at-home mom, she's also running an Airbnb. When we really looked at the time, there were 9 hours. I'm like, you can't do what you're having this expectation of yourself to do in 9 hours. So we have to change that, right?
Right. Interesting. All in the data. So you probably don't know this, but I'm a very big like science, math nerd. Like absolutely love that. And so with my clients, I do the same thing. Like just dive into, well, let's find out what the actual story is because there's probably something that's not true about what you're saying. Interesting. Okay, well, I'm sold. I'm sold. So hopefully some of my listeners are too in the fact that they can absolutely change their life and their relationship with money. So where would we start? What does that look like? Where do I go?
Yeah. So we are moving everything over to BeeKonnected, obviously. Yeah. So you can go to identifyyourmoneystory.com and we'll put the download, like you can get in and get that. You can actually, I'll give you the link to our Manifest Money in Your Dream Life profile on BeeKonnected. And what's so great about BeeKonnected is that everything is there. Like we can put our free stuff. You can join our group to get that. I just love it because it's set up for entrepreneurs. Like, you can get everything. I'll actually forward Manifest, if it's not already, I think it is, manifestmoneyinyourdreamlife.com. So you will have to get a BeeKonnected account, just like Facebook or Kajabi or anything like that. But then you can get in and see what all we have to offer. You just want to join the group, you want to, the free group or the paid, whatever, you can check it out.
Very cool. And you can always start with the free stuff and then decide this is for me. I am ready for
Yes.
this. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, I don't have any other questions except what I always end with, which is just if you could tell our listeners, one or two tips or something that they can really soak in, what is it that you would tell them? What is it that you want to make sure they heard today from the fairy godmother of money?
I would love if they took away it's possible to change. Even if you don't know how, just take away that it's possible life could look different. It's possible life could be easier. It's possible life could be more fun. It's possible I could achieve my dreams. It's possible I could have more money. Like if you just take that away and you don't have to know how, but if you take anything away from what I said, I would hope that that's it. That hey, it even might be possible to change, right? I don't even settle for it might be possible that this could be different
Yeah,
because that's going to open it up to it's totally possible to be different.
I love it. Yeah, it is possible or it might be possible. And what if it happened?
Yeah.
Right? See what I did
Yes.
there with the what if?
I
Yes,
I
I
love
love it.
it. Yes.
Very cool. Well, that is what I have for you today, folks. Cassie, thank you so much for being on here and for shedding some serious light in such a fun way on money myths and stories that we're telling ourselves and that we get tangled up in. I hope, my friends, that you're walking away with some things that you can do today. The it is possible, might be possible, what if. I'll make sure that in the show notes there are links so that you can go check out what Cassie has for you for free. And maybe even this is enough for you to start that investment in yourself for an easier life, a more financially free life, and really more importantly, a really fresh perspective on how you can start rewriting your money story today. So remember that we don't need any magic. You're your own financial fairy godmother. But if you need little bit of help, obviously Cassie is here to help you. So go out there and flip that script and start attracting that abundance that you deserve. If you love this episode, of course, don't forget to share it with your friends that could use maybe a little money mindset makeover. And as always, stay tuned for our next episode. But until next time, keep growing, keep thriving, go manifest some money, and go live your best life. Goodbye, friends. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining me today. If you want to take all of these concepts and tools to a deeper level, apply them to your life, and watch the transformation happen, I would love for you to join the Tantalum Tribe. That's a monthly membership where all of our community has access to live coaching, self-paced courses, guest coaches, podcast study guides, anonymous question boards, and more. You too can transform your life using the tools and strategies that we have with accountability built in from our community. I really hope that you join us at tantalumcoaching.com. That's TANTALUM beeKonnectedcoaching.com. Just click join the tribe. I can't wait to see you in there.
An Ironic Media production. Visit us at ironickmedia.com.